but after you can just let it process during the night, and that's that you don't have to wait too much. Yes, and after that we're going to be able to see the classification, so of the ground, non-ground. Yes. For go further with the classification, we do recommend other software which are really made for processing point clouds as files. At the beginning, CloudStation was just made to generate the point cloud from the raw, and with the time we have included more and more processing tools.
So you have to adjust the strips before you can classify?
It's going to be better, because as the strip adjustment is going to adjust them, you may have a better all point cloud. And so when you're going to classify the ground or maybe the rocks, you won't have like this small difference between a few files.
And when you add the SBET file, you don't have to have postback on your system. So like the floating license, you could use the cloud station on a computer. Someone could send you that SBET file, and then you don't need postback on that device.
Yeah, that's right. So if you want to process that during a class, or maybe we let some people do it and not have to always change a postback computer, you can just process your there, and
it'd be good to get you guys remote logging to that.
So in that case, it has adjusted a bit more, so it went from 5.6 centimeters to 4.9. So depending on the site, it can improve.
That's the error. That's the error that.
Yeah, the general error we can have on the whole project. And then we also have access to a report, just to see how it went. So always the yellow button. And so yes, it gives me like a bit how we went from each strip, from where we went into where we are going. So depending on where you're going to fly, you could make an interest to use those. And if you have some GCPs, it's also going to show you the difference of the height with the GCPs. As we don't have as it's a photogrammetric software, it's not going to change the placement on X, Y, but only on Z. And so usually the GCPs, you will need to take them on something pretty flat, around 1 meter flat. If it's like on the top of a rock, it won't help a lot. Okay, and if you have not clicked on report there, you can actually have it here, strip adjustment, and you have the report there now. So it has improved a bit more, and here, so here we have a bit more disruption. One of my interest was like to see a bit like on the side of the buildings. Those are usually the one where it's tricky to adjust them. Okay, and then I can go back with elevation. So then the smoothing, you can just go with low, medium, or high. Like say it can take a while to go through the smoothing depending on the number of points you're going to have in your project. Speaking of number of points, I have not shown you, but here when you click on your flight, you can actually see the number of points you have. Oh, we used to be able to see it? Okay, I need to check with the team. At some point we were able to see like the number of points present inside of your flight. Okay.
Points. Yeah, so there you go.
So this time we do have, so we have 28 millions of points for this flight. It goes fast, right?
Cool.
And we have processed 2 minutes of the whole flight. So the flight was 6 minutes. We have processed 2 minutes of it. The time to go out, to do the destabilization, etc. Then the terrain module is what we call, it's the name for our classification of ground on ground. So here is the object inner size about how to measure for the roof in order to not take them as a ground.
Sorry, the inner refers to the inside boundary of what was mapped?
Yes.
Okay.
So to do so, I'm just going to take the view from the top, and then being here, and here, so we do see that thanks to the angle, we do have like a pretty wide point. So this is so at this altitude, we're able to have a swath of 140 meters, and the fly height, it was the first one, we were pretty high.
Wow, 140 meters. Wow.
And we were at 70 meters for the fly height. So that one was like the high one of.
And can you see the, whatever the equivalent would be, the ground sampling distance for the, like between any two LiDAR points in there?
So do you want to see like the size?
I'm just curious, like the resolution of the point cloud. Like if we got like how far apart is one point from another laser point on the surface? So you have the roof. So you have the roof or something.
Okay, and I'm going to put that by street.
Okay. I think I spent like an afternoon just playing with the output from this one thing, just figuring out all these different things to play with.
Yeah. I just like that you see exactly which points come from which one of those flight line. So this flight line was like pretty far.
Does it give you like an average resolution of the project?
No, I don't have like a resolution of the number of points in it. But in the user manual, you do have a graph which give you like the point density per square meter.
Oh, okay.
Depending on your fly height.
Okay,
and,
cool.
The velocity also. Because more fast you're going to fly, less time you're going to be able to collect points. And I'm just going to put.
So this output, this is essentially a point cloud, right? Or is this generating a DSM? Am I looking at a DSM or am I looking at a point cloud with just a lot of dense points?
Oh no, you're looking to a point cloud.
Okay.
I have quickly measured that just to change it. And then once you're going to have a DSM, it's going to be like here in the export zone.
Okay.
You will be able to export your point cloud,
I see.
a digital
Okay.
model, in my case an orthophoto because I have a ultimate license.
Okay, cool.
But you can also export the external orientation. So in the case of the photo taken at the same time today.
Oh yeah, can we
And
colorize
then
the point
the
cloud?
contour lines.
Are we going to colorize the point cloud?
Oh yes, we can also color the point cloud. I'm just going to quickly run that. Depending on your terrain, you want to go with flat, hilly, steep, or extreme, and then you can also change them.
And that's for the coloration.
And now that's for the classification.
Oh, for the classification.
Where we have called terrain, the classification of the ground on ground.
I see.
And then
Once you classify it, you can make your DSM or your DTM. So DTM will just take your terrain.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as you have the DSM and the DTM, you can also export the DHM, which is going to be the difference between the surface model and the terrain model. Some people need it. So for the minimal object height, this is going to be when you're going to go outside to say if you want those rocks that are maybe 20 centimeters high to be part of the floor or not. So that can be changed, and then this. I'm just going to usually the classification goes pretty fast. And in our case, it's also flat, so it should be doing quickly. I also do have a pretty strong computer, which helps. And we were able to see before that I was on best performance. But I went in a lot of plays with that computer, and so now they also. If I'm not powering my computer, I may have like more issue to process. And another advice I can give is to be sure that the storage disk that you're going to use has enough space. If you're going to run a project which is going to be like maybe 20 gigaoctane big and you only have 30 gigabytes available in
Yeah.
in your computer,
Yeah, yeah.
it may take more time to process.
Yeah.
Usually, your session needs the double space of the raw data to be able to process everything.
What would you say the minimum specification for a laptop to run this would be?
It's on their website.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you can go on the.
It's nice, we say, because we do have it in the user manual.
I don't know how you guys have this one set up, but I have a whole separate hard drive for processing, and I
Same with
store everything on a different one.
Same with that.
Okay, that's good.
I should probably also write this.
So the minimum should be those.
Probably also write this.
Oh, okay. Oh, mine's fine.
Most laptops have